All right, now we're going to take a walk up into to another section of the farm, and you notice farm-wise trees. This is not your typical farm. We are not tilling the soil or clearing the land. We are encouraging big old hardwood, old growth trees on the property. We've got a bunch of varieties like the giant old white ashes, American elm, sugar maple. Over here we've got a stand of tulip poplars. It turns out the older the trees are, the better they are for creating relationships with mycorrhizal mushrooms. So, I'm going to direct you to the right up here. This is a mushroom stand, which is for saprophytic mushrooms. Particularly on this stand, we're growing two varieties. We're growing turkey tail, and we're growing chestnut mushroom. All of this wood is white ash. The springs of white ash is being attacked by Asian ash beetles, so before the tree dies, we harvest it. So down here on the bottom, these two bottom rows, these are just inoculated with turkey tail. Up here on the top, this whole top row has been inoculated with chestnut mushrooms. Come on up, let me show you. Come around this way. All right, so these logs are a bit of an investment. They're probably not going to produce for a year or two, but if you zoom in here and take a look, you'll notice that every 6 inches in diagonal all the way down these logs, we have put in wood dowels that were inoculated with mycelium. These logs, like I said, this row up here is all chestnut mushrooms. The lower two logs groups are all turkey tail mushrooms, because both of those varieties will grow fairly well, we've shown, on white ash trees. So what this does is it allows the mushrooms to start to create colonies of mycelium inside the log. And when the mycelium touches or connects up with another mycelium of the same DNA, it will fuse into creating a single organism. Eventually our goal is to have each of these logs filled with a single mushroom organism, the mycelium, which will take over this log, it'll defend the log, and for years, once a year, it will produce flushes of mushrooms out of it to spread its spores. That's the strategy of these large log stands that we're doing. This area of the woods we're using primarily for testing different growth strategies for different varieties of mushrooms. I'll show you a few of them. So this stack here is beech logs and oak logs that we're testing for maitake, or hen of the woods. We're trying to see if we can grow it on already cut logs inoculated with a couple of different techniques. We're getting some other varieties of fungus growing on the beech logs. The oak logs seem to be holding up much better, and we've got signs of the mycelium spreading much better in the oak logs and the beech logs. And you notice we've got them on the ground. Maitake, you can't grow it in the air like you can on those on the log cabins that we showed you before. So we're testing this. We're also growing it. You'll notice these are mostly large, mature oak trees. So a lot of the environmentals we need to grow hen of the woods are already here in this area. And we've got some great indicators that the hen of the woods will like to grow here. We've got fiddlehead ferns growing. We've got mature oak trees. We've got plants. I don't see one here specifically, but trillium, which is a good indicator. It likes a lot of it. Oh, here's one over here, a couple of trillium. They like the same light and moisture as a couple of the more difficult mycorrhizal mushrooms to grow. This right here is a morel bed. We're testing growing morels. We're just adding some additional wood chips. We're not expecting a crop this year. We're expecting it next year. But this is inside a group of small elm trees. One of the problems is that morels like mature trees, particularly mature elm trees, to create a symbiotic relationship. We have a lot of young elms on the property, so we're testing to see if we can get either black morels or yellow morels to grow with young elm trees. Go down this way. This stand is sugar maples, some very large sugar maples that we're attempting to grow lion's mane on. We're starting to pin. It looks like we're going to have some success. We inoculated these a year ago, and sugar maples potentially a really good wood for lion's mane. Looks like we're going to have some success this summer with it on this stand, so that's going to be a win for us. We can duplicate that throughout other parts of the forest. Come walk with me over here. We've got some other tests. By the way, these beds here, we are trying to grow black trumpet mushrooms in this bed. We're trying with different types of wood chips, ash, maple, and oak. We're going to see which ones, if we get any colonies to survive or thrive with different types of wood chips to keep them cool and moist.